Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm going to be talking about what I learned in 2022 as far as different skills, different things I've tried. So it's a little bit of a highlights for 2022 without going into every single completed page that I've already done, which you can check in my completed pages for 2022 video. So the first thing we're going to look at is moons. I learned how to color moons this year. I first went to a tutorial by the lovely DK Design Coloring here on YouTube, and she was coloring in a beautiful page. I don't remember from which coloring book, and in that page it had a lovely moon and night sky. So I took her idea and I went and translated it into this beautiful page here by in a Maritime by the lovely Anastasia Ellie Caldereva. So I learned how to start playing with the different lights and darks on the moon to create the different effects, how to use white Posca paint to create the white part of the moon to show that it was to show that it was bright and full. So I really enjoyed learning how to do that around here. I think on this moon though, I could have deepened the colors a lot more and made it a bit brighter, but I learned the concepts, and I'm still glad with how it turned out, even though it could have been built up a whole lot more than it is. So I then went and did another moon in Magical Delights by Klara Markova, and here I used a similar idea and created this lovely moon here. So again, I followed the guidelines of the illustrator. I brought depth. I tried to show that it was a bright full moon, so it created this like halo around it. So that was another step in the right direction, and it was also quite easy to do. I watched several videos on YouTube as well by different colorists to help me keep understanding the concepts of the moon. And then finally in Tales from the Forest Kingdom by Hannah Carlson, I did this moon here, and as you can see, by this time I was deepening up the craters and the shadow areas on the moon, making it a lot more vibrant, brighter. And here I got a nice gradient from the fullness of the moon into the blue and darker parts of the night sky. So I thought that that came out really, really well. And that's how I learned how to color moons. And next, I learned how to work on lighting. So I really took the time in some parts of the year to focus on the lighting in my pages. It wasn't always just directional light, but showing how the light from various sources affects the whole page. So again, in the same Tales from the Forest Kingdom by Hannah Carlson, if I just zoom you in a little bit, here you can see I've tried to showcase different light sources, and I'm really proud of how it turned out, because I captured the brightness of the starlight on this boy's clothes, and I tried to show it at brightening up around here and here as well. So another example is here in the book by Selena Phoenix, Mermaids, A Calm Ocean Coloring Collection. And this was the first page I started trying to create a glowing effect. You can see here by all the candles, I tried to show that they were bright and reflecting on different parts. So this was a weaker attempt, but it's still a brave one to show the reflections of the lights. In Mythographic Paradise, I also try to reflect light here by these bugs. So I try to showcase the light coming off the bugs' abdomens and just catching the various areas. So again, practicing working on and just showing that light glow. And then while we're still in Mythographic Paradise, this year I also learned how to use how to really embrace more complex pages. So Mythographic Paradise became one of my favorite books in 2022. I really embraced the fine details. I learned how to use different medium in this book, and on this page I used oil pastels, sorry, not oil pastels, oil paints. I used some markers here as a base, and I really try to embrace the various ways. So in this side here, I used watercolors as a base on the bridge, on the leaves, the flowers, as the background. Again, you can see I was working on planets, but they weren't so good. Here I used watercolors again, and you can see more practice with the moon. I really was working on embracing different mediums, trying different pencil brands and not sticking to just what I know, but really trying to stretch myself. I even learned how to use ink tints as a background, and like I did in this page, here the background is with ink tints. I also learned this year how to use foil. So this is all gold foil, which I've been practicing how to do. I still need to get the right paintbrush to just brush off the excess. But again, a really, really great attempt, and working hard on trying new things and new ways to mix my media. So that is in Mythographic Paradise. In Fragile World by Kirby Rosanes, again I embraced I embraced a Kirby Rosanes, which is my first Kirby Rosanes book, and I also did this page completely in ink tints, and I was really proud of how it turned out because I got vibrancy of colors, I got depth and three-dimensional. I even used white paint and a sponge and sponged on the foam of the water. So again, just really embracing the fullness of using different things and not just sticking to pencils. I used ink tints here on this double page spread as a base, and you can see that really pops the colors and makes for a very vibrant coloring page. Each element is standing out, it's all connected, but there's no clashing with foreground and background. So yeah, I'm very proud of myself for using different things as a base, and using ink tints, pencils again, and trying to really work on that, not shying away from double page spreads or things that are quite intricate, but really moving forward and exploring my different options. And included in that, I even base some of my pictures in alcohol markers, which is what I did for this page in Creative Haven's Autumn Charm by Teresa Goodridge. So I based pretty much a vast majority of the page, the hills, the water, the sky. I tried a different colored sky than what I would normally do, and was able to go over the markers with pencils and just deepen it up. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased that I've been able to try different things. And in the process, I've been able to learn how to limit my color palette, as you could see in some of the Kirby pages, but also My favorite limited palette for the year is this one, where I really try to create a cohesive page. I even tried different backgrounds. Here I use chalk pastels and try to blend them into each other without clashing and making brown or mud. But each color has its place, and slowly with time, from about June onwards, I would think a bit more deliberately about my colors and how they balance and how I can create a more cohesive page. And yeah, this has been one of my best pages for 2022. Another thing I learned in 2022 was creating white clothing. Now, I had my best success as far as white clothing goes was in Gods and Goddesses special by Jash Lee in Coloring Heaven. And here I used a reference photo, and I was really, really proud of how, if I just zoom you in a bit more, how I was able to do her beautiful clothing. For me, this is the best white clothing I've done. I put the shades in the right place. I was able to blend them out, add a bit of shadows and highlights without creating a grey outfit. And she stayed, you can see she's wearing white clothing, and that for me was a big hit, because beforehand when I've tried to do white clothing, it's always turned out cream or beige or an ugly off grey. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with this attempt at white clothing, which I did with polychromos. Another attempt here, and I'd say this one wasn't as successful, and it was this page here. So here, the folds, there was a lot of folds on the dress, and I think the separation from the highlights and the folds could have been deepened a bit more. But overall, I was very, very pleased to have been able to, again, keep the clothing looking white a lot better than what I have done in the past. And considering that this is just very cheap printer paper, the fact that I could create it with a result like this, I think is worth being proud of. So very, very pleased with myself for doing that. And then finally, I took on animals. Now I just going to zoom you out a little bit again. Sorry guys. So I had promised myself in the beginning of the year that I was going to focus on fur. And I'm pleased to say that I did start focusing on fur, even though it took me quite a while into the year before I did that. But I came and in August, and I was able to do the fur on this little rodent here, and I think quite successfully as well. I think I used polychromos. I had to do a lot of layers to get it to look how it did. I had to use various grays to tone down the orange in the rat. He was a bit too orangey for my liking, but in the end he's come out in a very lovely reddish brown sort of color, and I think it goes well. You can see here again I've kept to a limited color palette, and I think it's worked quite successfully. So then after I did this rat, I went into Gracia Salvo's Wild Soul, and I eventually was able to complete this page. And again, I was very pleased with how the fur came out on the dog. Following the grayscale really did help to know the direction of the fur. I think overall the highlights and the various colors in the fur really just does help to give the dog character. And I'm also really proud of his nose. I think I got his nose quite well highlighted and defined. So I think my first few attempts at coloring fur have been mostly successful. but it's still a way to go before I feel confident in every single animal that I tackle. So that is what I have learned in 2022. All of these things I'd like to carry on in 2023, but I do have a few other goals that I would like to focus on. So I'm going to be creating a totally separate video where I will talk about my goals for 2023. So I hope to see you in that video. Until then, everyone, until my next video, take care and happy coloring. Bye for now.